We are officially recording this week's Midweek Howl, the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast. And I'm going to just segue right into, I saw Todd today. Todd, who's the subject of last week's episode, that fell downstairs. He had successful surgery on his thigh. And I went and picked him up today. I'm putting him to work a little bit. He's going to help me with the schedule on our elementary basketball league. But here was the eye opener, man. So I pull into his subdivision, I pull up to his house, and I look up and I'm like, who's got the walker? I realize it's him. he's got like an old person's walker, and coming down this, and I'm like, this is surreal, man. It was almost like I was looking 25 years into the future, except it was now. Like me going to pick him up to go get coffee at McDonald's or something in our 70s, and he's coming out in his walker. It was kind of a shocker. And then his future son-in-law helping him getting into the Suburban and driving him and helping him get into the house.
What was it, a hip, or what do you have done? I forgot. He broke his knee, right? Detached the muscle from his knee.
He tore his thigh, and they actually said when they got in there, it went straight across left to right on his thigh muscle like a zipper. He said it's just like a zipper, like somebody went unzipped it. And I kidded him. I told him, so a walker's got that crossbar in front, and a lot of older people put those little things that hang down with like little pockets in them, so they got their Kleenex and stuff.
Right.
I said I need to get you one of those for Christmas so you can keep your pens and your eyeglasses and stuff.
That reminds me of something. For a brief period of time, I worked for the Department of Health and Senior Services doing crimes against the elderly.
Oh yes, I do. I remember that.
And I had to go down to South Missouri and talk to this old man. I don't even remember how I got there. I don't remember they have a hotline where people can call in and say that, usually it's family members narking out other family members because they think dad's going to spend the inheritance before, you know what I mean? Dad's spending too much money on one and they just want him to hurry up and die so they can split it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was probably one of those deals because that's the way people are. Anyhow, I saw him down there talking to this nice old man sitting on $1 million farm, big old grass farm, a couple 100 acres, nice brick house on a slab, just nice old guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's what, because he had built, and he was in his 80s, and one of his kids had died. Them guys that live to be their 80s, their kids are in their 50s and 60s, and they're freaking dying on them, you know what I mean? So he had built a shed house thing for one of them there on the property. And I think that's why part of them, anyway, doesn't matter. But he's got that one that you could sit on like a wheelchair, but then you can turn around and walk on it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Like some people, use their, like on their knee and they use it like a scooter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And under that little knee thing is the little knee thing opened up. It's got a little like 2x6 by 18 or 24, just like a little storage thing. You can put I guess it's probably just meant to put your wallet or some little stuff in. You know what I mean? It's shallow across that. When you said crossbar, made me think about this. So I'm talking to this guy, and he says, yeah, so he starts telling me immediately that he knows which one of his kids called because he's not being taken advantage of, and he just kind of goes down this rabbit hole of raising kids and grandkids over, he's 84 years old or whatever. So mid-sentence, he goes, yeah, you know what they really want? He said, they come in all the time, and I tell you what they're wanting. And I said, what? And he opened, and in the course of it, you're sitting there talking to him, and I'm looking at the doilies, that his wife made in the ugly wallpaper and all this stuff. And out of this little cubby on his walker, he pulls out a freaking 6-inch Smith & Wesson revolver and says, this is what they're looking for. And I said, whoa, what are they looking for that for? And he goes, what's up? Huh?
So he carried a revolver in his little pouch?
Yeah, in the walker. Yeah, it had a little storage thing that I'm assuming you put your billfold or something, like if you're, you know what I mean?
Or like your false teeth or your glass?
Yeah. But he's got this big old full-size Smith & Wesson revolver poked in there.
All I could think of is Walker Texas Ranger. That's the real Walker.
Yeah, he pulls out this big old, it ended up being, it was a 22. He let me mess around with it a little bit there. And he said, because he had some guns and they had come in and wanted to fight over his guns. So he had to give them all away to who he wanted to have them, because he was afraid that if he died, the first person that came over there would take all of his good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a shame. That is a shame.
He said, though, the one kid that he had the problem with, he'd been over there 2 or 3 times, and he said, and this is one of the things he's wanting. Among other things was this pistol. When you said Walker with the crossbar, it made me think about this old man pulling his pistol out. He didn't want to be by a guy. He's like an old Korean War veteran. He didn't want to be left freaking unarmed. You know what I mean? It ain't much, but it's something.
So it's his last stand, right? Like literally, his last.
He said his pride and joy was his Remington 30-06, and he'd give that to his grandkid.
Oh man, I tell you what, I've said this before. My stepdad always said, if anybody's going to screw you, it's going to be family. And I was like, oh, come on, that can't really. I'll tell you what, family really does. It's almost like it's a rite of passage, like it's their right to screw you around before they.
They say only your friends can commit treason, right? So If some stranger takes advantage of you, you don't think you're getting screwed. You just, what do I expect? Messing with some stranger, maybe. I don't know. None of my family would screw you because we ain't got nothing to fight over, fight over dirt.
Well, dirt's one of the most valuable things.
Once I sit down, I realize it.
So speaking of the old guy's gun, we got another reminder of a story that you must have started and didn't finish. Our old buddy Ryan said, hey, remind the Howler of a story that he started of the short-barreled rifle. Now, I reminded Ryan that the last time I reminded you of a story, which
I don't know. But when you said short-barrel rifle, he's ATF wanting to give me shit. I don't know nothing about short-barrel rifles. I don't know nothing about them. Absolutely nothing about them.
Nothing about them. Okay.
Nothing about them.
So you're pleading the fifth on short barrel rifle.
Well, I'm trying to think of what good story that I must have been thinking what we were talking about at the time. Tell these people whenever they want to refresh my memory, you got to tell us what we're talking about at the time.
We got to at least have an episode, right? They have to give me an episode so I can go back and listen. I guess they don't understand they just don't understand. I'm over 50 years old, and what people don't realize is once you're over 50, I don't know if I'm forgetting stuff or I'm just purging it. It's like I got a computer with X amount of a memory or RAM or storage, and I just got to get rid of shit to make room for other stuff. I feel that I used to remember everything. Now I'm just if it's not in the top 5 on my list, I'm not remembering it. And I don't know if I just don't care, like I did, or if it's something I figure I can go back and find out, like, the short-barreled rifle story.
Yeah.
But there's just some stuff that I just have no recollection about, and, it reminds me, I was talking about finding pictures of me and the girls on the computer.
Okay. Yeah.
And I found these pictures of when we had stopped at Niagara Falls on the way back from a vacation in Cape Cod. I didn't.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm talking to the Kennedys here.
I know. I didn't remember us stopping at Niagara Falls. I had no recollection.
That's because you were probably mad at them by that time. You've been in the car with them for 3 days.
But I'm saying
that's why they don't talk to you anymore, because they haven't been able to forget it.
Well, I'm just saying, I had no recollection of that, and I just wondered if it's because I haven't been around, they don't talk to me and I don't hear from. I just wonder if it's because that part, I mean, they're the sole link to that part of my life, of that. And we don't have any interaction.
I don't know. It's getting too misty-eyed for me. I'm ready to go back to short barrel rifles. Jesus.
No, I'm just saying. I just wonder if you don't access those things.
Do they slip away?
Yeah, do they slip away? And how are you ever, how do you retain that stuff?
I don't know at this point. I understand what you're saying, but This is a family-friendly show. I was going to tell you to say something, but I better not.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, there's memories I have that I've never revisited, but I certainly never forgot them. So I don't know. I don't know. They're short-barreled stories, but they're, I don't know. I don't know,
Well, maybe that the short-barreled rifle story.
I don't know. I got a short-barreled shotgun. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. What else did you find going through it?
There's just a lot of cool pictures. That, like I said, I hadn't seen them in 10, 12 years or whatever. So it just was nice to be able to recover them and revisit that and kind of jog my memory a little bit and see some stuff. So, obviously it was a much simpler time. It's better when the kids are younger. You don't realize how great it is because they depend on you for everything, and they will listen to you. Yeah.
Right.
I guess that all changes. So, I don't know. But back to the short barrel rifle. So we totally failed on that one. So now
that's the second time. So whenever I say, remind me, you need to get me to tell a story right then.
I guess so. Okay, let me see. Now I got to make a note to remind you.
I'm going to tell the story right now. And when you talked about Todd falling down the stairs, I've told the story about me tearing my Gluteus Maximus, haven't I?
I don't know. Probably, maybe. I don't know. What? Maybe. So, I don't know.
It was the day before youth spring turkey season in. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up on my phone. Look it up. I can probably find it somehow on my phone. I was going to take my son, my youngest son, the killer. I was going to take him down to Missouri turkey hunting at my uncle's in Northwest Missouri. And he was in the truck. I had a Tahoe. He was in the Tahoe with all the stuff. And I wanted to get something else, maybe another decoy or something. And in my garage, I had how it's got a pull down stairs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Think about those houses out in the suburb, big 2-story with a big tall roof that's a waste of money, like a 712 or whatever. And it's got a ladder. Yes, it gets into an attic just over the garage. Had a big high garage. So I had that space over it was a 3-car garage. And on the far right, where I kept all my stuff, I cut another one in there, but I did not have the steps for it yet. I framed it up and cut another one just for my outdoor stuff so it didn't take over space for my wife's Christmas decorations and whatever. So in order to access it, I had one of those folding buddy ladders, or what do they call them, big buddies, or what are them ladders called that are folding? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
It's like a V, and then you can make it tall or straighten it up or whatever.
The Giant or something like
that? Yeah, Little Giant or whatever.
Little Giant, yeah.
Well, my Giant was freaking little because I was up on top of that thing trying to get these turkey decoys or whatever I was getting. And I guess I didn't latch it when I stood it up, and it flattened out when I was standing on it. And for a split second, I held myself with my elbows hanging, and I had 10-foot ceiling in this garage.
Oh, okay.
you know, so not real tall, but
tall enough.
But when I fell, so I stopped myself, and the only thing I did was I ended up when I stopped myself, my feet, like a pendulum, my feet brought my body up. Does that make sense? My feet swung up toward the ceiling a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when I fell, I landed right on the, and to this day, I think it wasn't that I tore it with this great physical movement like the doctor thought. I think when I fell and hit on that aluminum, the 90-degree edge of that one of those aluminum steps, it cut it. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So, and it's the first time I experienced, being completely bewildered. Like if I would have been in water, I would have drowned it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you were stunned by the pain.
But my brain was not. It wasn't like I was knocked out. Like my brain was, oh shit, you know what I mean, or whatever. So I hollered for my wife, who came out. I got a 3-car garage, and I'm at the furthest door away from the house. The middle bay's empty, and her Impala's in the first bay. And I said, she come out, and she goes, "What happened?" I said, "Call an ambulance." She said, "Do what?" And I said, "Call an ambulance." Now she could see, they kind of heard the crash or whatever. She come over there and she said, "You're serious?" I said, "Yeah, I'm serious." Well, when I rolled over, she said, "Well, you sure you need an ambulance? Because the car's just right there. Can't you crawl to the car?" And I said, and I was like, "No, she basically rolled me over on my side, and she could see I was already black and blue on my hip. I mean, if you've seen how bad it was on my right side, I don't think I have a picture. It was terrible. I mean, immediately. But she still made me crawl. She says, "No, you can crawl, because I don't want the neighbors to ask a bunch of questions and shit if I call you an ambulance." So the car's just right there.
That's
crawl to the car.
I don't want the neighbors to ask.
So I crawled over, and I got, it's a 2014 Impala, and I crawled this Impala. She opens the front passenger door, and I go to get in it. Well, the problem with getting in the front seat is I'm going to be sitting on my injured area. So I back out of it, and I actually crawl and just lay across the back seat.
Like Todd had to.
So my wife backs out of the driveway, just back in the garage, and my little boy's still on top of me. He's like, "Ain't we going hunting?" He said, "No, go in the house." She told my oldest boy who was there, my daughter. He had 2 other teenagers to stay there with, kids, So she takes me over to this freaking hospital. It's a nice little country hospital with nobody's ever there, including employees. I mean, so we wheel up there, and she comes out with a wheelchair for me, puts me in this wheelchair, brings me in there, and you know how it is at triage. They're wanting to ask you 1,001 questions
that you're in no mood to answer.
That I'm in no mood to answer, right? And I'm looking around, and there's only one other person, and there's nobody there but me and this other guy. It's a Sunday. Everybody's, like my wife included, they're wanting to watch whatever game was on. Maybe it was March Madness. I don't remember. You know what I mean? So The last thing anybody wanted to do was worry about me and my broken butt. So they get me in there, they give me the X-ray, they do an MRI. They did something, and hey, man, you got a torn Gluteus Maximus. And they said, "Can you walk out?" So about 4 hours later, they're going to let me go. I tried to start using some crutches, and they said, "No, you need a wheelchair." So the pharmacy sold me a set of crutches, but made me go out on a freaking wheelchair.
They sold you
crutches. You know what I mean? They got a little thing.
Yeah.
They give you crutches and build Blue Cross, Blue Shield, my provider. And then I got to the car, and my old lady brings me home, and my boy's still there bawling. "When are we going turkey hunting?" I'm on my deathbed, son. Mm-hmm.
All he cared about was
for my ass. So my wife, she's a nurse, and she works in orthopedics. So she said, she called this doctor friend of hers, said, "Hey, well," basically had me into an orthopedic specialist the next day, because if it's really messed up, they've only got a short window to do surgery on it, right?
Yeah.
So I get in there, and Normally, this injury is for people that's been in a severe car accident or athletes that do,
real things.
Yes, like, jumping over 3 linebackers trying to win the Super Bowl or something. Not some dude trying to get a couple extra turkey decoys. But I went to work on Monday and fought through it. But from this to this day, I got a dimple across my right butt cheek, kind of high, where it's busted. I mean, I'm permanently scarred.
That's probably going to ever keep you from a centerfold opportunity.
I doubt it. You know what I mean? Once you're famous, they want to put you on the cover of Rolling Stone or Playboy or whatever just because who you are, right?
I don't know.
I mean, who are some of them famous people that laid out back in the old days? They don't even have those magazines anymore, do they?
I don't have any idea. I guess I don't even know. No,
I think the internet killed all that stuff.
I'm sure. I used to when I used to work in a town that had one of those real bookstores.
Oh yeah,
where you could just get any kind, And I remember walking into there, and this guy that was was reading a magazine that 20 some years ago was kind of shocking for his job where he worked. I don't want to say where he worked. He actually lives on my mail route now, but it would have been shocking for where he worked to be
reading that sort of magazine.
I
doubt it was either school principal or a priest, one of the preacher.
He was somewhere in between. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He was somewhere in between.
There you go.
Oh man. Yeah, I just remember walking in there to deliver the mail, and I looked over and there was this guy obviously looking at the centerfold, and he kind of peeked over the top of the magazine and then put it back over his face, and I just turned and walked away. And it was just a shock, because he was in the next town over. He didn't expect anybody to run into anybody he knew.
At least you hope not. Maybe.
I guess. I don't know. But I hope Ryan's not disappointed that we didn't.
He's gonna have to be. I mean, he's gonna have to be disappointed because I don't. I'm trying to think of a good. What we were talking about.
But I mean, to replace that story with the torn Gluteus Maximus story, that's pretty good. I think that's like a 2-for-1.
I don't know, man. Maybe unless you really wanted to hear a good, gunfighting story. I don't know. Right?
I guess. I don't know there was a gunfighting story.
Well, if it had a short-barreled rifle in it, I don't know.
Could have been a gun. I got sent a link on a news article by a fellow postal employee that this guy, he was 75, and he was a mailman in a downtown somewhere. I forget where the town was, but he had 53 years he'd been on the job.
Oh, come on.
53 years.
At the post office?
At the post office, delivering mail in the downtown. And he got one of those postmasters in that just,
wanted to run him off?
And ends up writing him up for stupid stuff.
How do you write a 70-some-year-old guy? Go in there and kick your ass.
Right here. Been delivering mail since 1970. In Port Jervis. I don't know where Port Jervis is. Yeah, delivering the mail. He's a downtown guy. Everybody, obviously everybody loved him because if you're the downtown guy. So he said he got disciplined for minor infractions like this, like not turning the truck's wheels at the right angle
to the curb.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a freaking emergency brake, doesn't it?
Yeah, but we're supposed to curb them. But he turned them the wrong way.
Yeah, but that's when those rules are really designed for manual transmissions. We don't really have them too much in place anymore.
Oh, I
But
know.
go ahead.
And he was also.
You're making me mad. You're making me think of some other stuff, and you're making me mad.
He was also disciplined for failing to carry dog spray on the downtown route. Okay. And so get this. This is the best.
You're required to carry dog spray like a freaking cop or something?
Yeah, I never do though, because dogs, I've said it before, dog spray doesn't work, just makes the dog mad. Might stop him that day.
You get some pepper spray because it'll mess a dog up.
Yeah, but it doesn't. The next day, then they're just mad at you. Then they
stay the hell away from you.
Well, you've never been a mailman.
I don't know, but I've sprayed some. I've sprayed. You know what? Your nightstick is just so. Your taser is just so. It's you get both leads in it. But I'm telling you what, you get some good pepper spray in a dude's face, and that dude or dog, and they will never forget.
Well, anyway, so this guy was given a letter of termination for unsatisfactory performance.
But they're just trying to force him into retiring at that point, right?
On November 28th, after he was accused of not delivering the mail fast enough.
Fast enough? They got freaking people in the goddamn mail route that steals 10,000 letters and puts them in the damn toilet and shit. And they don't fire them people.
I know. And get this. And just a few days before, he had received a handwritten commendation letter from the Postmaster General for his exemplary service. Just a couple days before, so he gets a handwritten letter from LaJoy telling him how great his service was, and then the guy writes him up for not delivering the mail fast enough, and so they terminated him. And now they're fighting, and it sounds like the town is going to go nuts trying to get this guy's his job back.
I gotta go burn the post office. No, don't say that.
Well, we can't say that. I mean, come on. That's no matter how bad you want to. Sometimes you can't say that. But can you believe that? I mean, and that's the part that stinks anymore is you really can't. But I worked the route that I'm on.
Yeah, but so when you get wrote up as a post guy, doesn't that dude's the supervisor see that?
What do you mean? His supervisor and the postmaster?
Yeah, but who's the main dude at the post office? Is that who wrote him up, the postmaster?
Yeah, the postmaster probably.
Who's the postmaster's boss?
Oh, that would be the region.
So doesn't the regional guy see what that dude's doing?
But he doesn't know who he is. Well, what's he know? It doesn't say in that letter that this guy's 75 years old and worked for 53 years. It just says he wrote this guy up for not delivering.
That's just that's poor leadership, poor management.
Well, because those people just look at numbers. They don't care. They don't look at anything else. They just look at the numbers. Now the union, they get in there and the union will start fighting it, and then they'll be like, "Oh my God, come on, dude."
Well, what's going on in his world after 54 years? He wants to keep carrying the mail. We need to give him a sitcom or something. Oh, he likes his job?
Right. There are some of those guys that like their jobs. Yeah, they love it. Gives them something to do. I mean, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? Go work at Walmart?
I go feed the frickin' pigeons and play my guitar with a coffee can there or something. Sit there and let some dude rail on me for not delivering the mail fast enough.
Well, I hope it'll have a happy ending for him.
Now, I can't even play guitar, and I could probably get a few dollars.
Well, I certainly hope that I'm not. I hope that I'm able, but I hope that I'm not.
That story had a better ending. I thought it was going to be one of them went postal stories. I thought that's where you were leading up to, and I was like, "Oh my God! Don't tell me a 70-year-old dude went postal."
He went in with his walker and pulled his 22 out of his little.
Yeah, it's 22. Yeah, but I'd teach him unless they wound the shit out of him.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.